Let's get into a topic that we love, and that's dogs, of course. Another topic we love is veterans.
Like them.
How do we combine the two of them?
Great idea.
Our friend Steve Haight knows. He is the executive director of Circle of Change. How are you?
Good. Good morning.
Good morning. Steve and I met the other night, Monday night we met, as a matter of fact. We met over at Dave's Doggy Den, and you guys had a Circle of Change, what do you want to call it, meeting?
Class. Call it a class.
For people who are completely unaware of the program and what Circle of Change is about, fill us in.
The Circle of Change works with veterans with PTSD, traumatic brain injury, and other psychological disorders, and we provide adjunct therapy free of charge through a program of dog training and handling. We contract with professional dog trainers who hold the classes in their facilities, and they provide the dogs to their customer base for our vets to work with.
Now, when you say adjunct therapy, what does that mean for someone who's not clear?
What that means is they are receiving clinical therapy primarily from the VA clinic here in Rockford or another community-based organization such as Rosecrans.
Any sort of dog workout for this sort of thing?
Absolutely. As you saw Monday night, we had all size, shapes, colors, and breeds there. As I said, these dogs are already owned, so they come through the trainer's customer base. But we do actually prefer dogs that have issues that need to be worked on.
You have one.
Because, well, it's better. This is a great deal for the owner and the dogs, but that's where the therapy comes in for our vets. We want them to really have to focus and work with these dogs. And it's not uncommon for the dogs that come through our program to be newly adopted rescues. And as often the case with rescues, they've suffered from neglect and or abuse. So they have PTSD themselves.
Right.
So the vets and the dogs are able to work through that together.
Is there any sort of screening you do for the dogs? Is there a level of training you would like them to have?
Well, actually, we've worked with some pretty challenging dogs, but all dogs are pre-screened by the trainers. Most of them are coming to their regular training sessions, paid for by their owners. But we do have dogs that come to us. Some of the rescues in town, if they have a dog that's being fostered, waiting to be adopted, they'll bring them to us to work with them to help make them more adoptable, which is a really cool part of the program, and the vets get a lot out of that.
It's really smart. Did any vets end up with a dog through this program?
No, we don't in any way pair veterans with dogs. And oftentimes when veterans first come to us, due to the nature of their mental illnesses, that kind of thing, they're often not in a position for dog ownership. Okay. But it's very common for a veteran who does not already have a dog to go through our program, get stabilized, and then we can refer them to adopt a dog. And now, even though it's not necessarily the intent of the program, one of the byproducts is they've gained the dog training and handling skills now to work with their own dog.
Right.
So there's often cool outcomes that way.
I thought one of the things that was cool Monday night is I see the veterans show up, and I thought the mix was interesting. It was 4 female veterans to 3 male veterans. Wasn't that our ratio?
Yeah, and that's not uncommon.
And they show up, and some of the regular clients who come in and are having their dogs trained at Dave's Doggy Den, for instance, bring their dogs in, hand a leash over, and then they go. And then their dog stays with that veteran and goes through a training class. So your dog benefits. One of the couples that dropped off their dog for you said, "This is great. Our dog gets an extra training class. Mm-hmm. We get a night out. It's like when you have a toddler and the babysitter comes over.
Night.
Yeah, we get a date night. We get a couple of hours, and a couple of them are like, we're going to go out and we're have a nice bite. We're going to be gone for a couple of hours, and then we come back, and then the veteran then tells the owner of the dog how their dog did."
Exactly.
Oh, it's a report card?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
We have the veterans deliver the dog, and communication skills is one of the things that often suffers with traumatic brain injury and PTSD. So they deliver the dog, tell them how they did, and what they could work on at home. So, and a big component of this for the dogs as well is the additional socialization that the dog gets, which is almost always a big factor in training a dog. And for the vets working with these difficult dogs, for 2 hours, and they attend 1 2-hour class a week. They're focusing on not the dogs, and they tend to forget about the things that are haunting them. Plus, they're there with the comfort and support of their comrades, their fellow veterans, to help them. But in addition to that, it really helps their self-esteem, which takes a big hit with psychological disorders, because as they see progress with the dogs, they see progress and hope for themselves as well.
So this is more than just puppy class socialization. This is a full-on training.
Yes, it is.
Come, heal, all that good stuff.
And as I pointed out to Riley, and he had a chance to observe Monday night, it is full-fledged training, but it's at a much easier pace than it would be if an owner brought their dog to a paid training class, if you will, because even though the dogs are benefiting, the thing that needs to be emphasized here is this is about the vets and not so much the dogs. The fact that dogs and their owners benefit is a great byproduct of the program, but it's that. So the atmosphere is very relaxed. It's lighthearted. There's laughing and chatting, and that's what we want. And it's a confidential, safe environment for the vets to be in.
If you're just popping the radio on, we're spending some time with Steve Haight, Executive Director, Circle of Change, the Veterans Dog Program. Veterans helping dogs, helping veterans. And we had just a magnificent time Monday night. I really, really enjoyed watching what was going on and the interplay between the vets and the dogs. There was a very large mastiff there who was very afraid.
With a high-pitched bark.
Yeah, with a very high-pitched bark. But yeah, this mastiff was almost frightening looking, but you looked at it and there's nothing to be frightened of. He was afraid and nervous and all that, but he bonded with one of the vets so nicely. At one point, I looked over and they're kind of sitting in the corner together, little petting going on and just kind of staring out into space a little bit and just enjoying each other's company.
Do you look for like a pairing like that, or do you just kind of let it happen?
No, we kind of let it happen. Sometimes the pairings are deliberate. For example, it's not uncommon for abused or neglected dogs to have an aversion to one gender or the other. More commonly than not, unfortunately, it's males. In that case, the dog will be deliberately paired with a male.
Okay,
because
to try to get through that.
Let's deal with it. Let's help them get through it. But Riley touched on another factor, and that's that calming effect that dogs have on humans. The bond between humans and dogs is thousands of years old. They've recently discovered through archaeological finds it goes back even much further than they originally thought. And they just have that calming effect. And of course, dogs don't judge.
Right. Well, mine do sometimes.
Yeah, yours can be judged. Yeah, yours can be judged.
Give me that look.
Yeah, that's why yours. We're not bringing them down there. We don't want anybody judged. Well, it goes along with the old adage: don't grab a handful of pills, grab a handful of fur. And that wonderful calming effect. What's the genesis of this program? How did this all get put together to begin with?
It started about 15 years ago. Initially, as I understand it, the thought was that this would be dogs to work with developmentally disabled children. And then I'm not exactly sure how the transition occurred, but a retired naval officer and his wife came upon the program, ended up taking it over and said, that's great to work with kids, but there's actually, in terms of numbers, a way bigger need to work with veterans. So then it was converted over, and this is a good point to add for the listeners out there that have not heard this, but on the average in this country, 22 veterans a day commit suicide.
22. And, 22 too many.
Way too many.
And if this program can stave off just one and or more, I mean, is the program nationwide? Do we find this in communities throughout the nation?
No, as a matter of fact, I'm not aware of a program like this anywhere else in the country. Currently, we have a class in Davis Junction that can serve South Rockford, DeKalb, and Ogle counties. We have one right in town, as you said, at Dave's Doggy Den. Then we have another up in Madison, Wisconsin. So no, we're very regional in nature, and there just isn't anything quite like it out there. When we do stories with the local TV news and it gets put on their websites, I get calls from across the country of veterans wanting to enroll in the program, and unfortunately they can't unless they're in northern Illinois or southern Wisconsin.
For those veterans in this area who wish to enroll, what's the process for that?
It's very easy. They just have to call us. That's all they have to do. 815-262-4191. And we'll get them lined up with a class.
Is there any, I mean, we talk about screening dogs. Is there any screening of a veteran to make sure they're all right with this?
No, other than we typically do like them to be receiving, especially if they've got PTSD, that type of thing, receive clinical therapy someplace.
This is open just to vets with PTSD or any vet that would like to take part?
We have had some vets that come in just because we have one older vet in our class down in Davis Junction. He's older. He's a widower. So I think he just enjoys being there with the dogs, and he's fellow veterans, so that's fine.
The socialization aspect of it. Fellow vets, dogs, a nice get-together and all that. Yeah, that's the other thing. Even if you're not a veteran, just being in the room, and I'm not a veteran, but it's a wonderfully pleasant experience. Mm-hmm. All these dogs, all these people, the bonding that goes on, like you mentioned, there's laughs, there's fun that's had at the same time. There's by far not a serious vibe floating through the room. It's very lighthearted.
And this is we essentially clear the place out, and it's their place for the 2 hours.
Yeah, like I said, it's very private and confidential.
Okay. Yep, you don't need to worry about any of those things. And there's a way that you can help out as well. You have an event coming up.
Yeah, we sure do. This is a big event that's put on for us every year, sponsored by XPO Logistics and the Home Depot, and it's called Fill the Truck for Circle of Change and Kittens and Pups. And the way this event works is it benefits both animal shelters and rescues. They ask individuals to come in that day, drop off food, supplies, and equipment for dogs and cats, and they have a big merchandise raffle, the proceeds of which go to the Circle of Change. And this is one of our major fundraisers during the year. Like I said, it's December 7th at 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Home Depot, which is near the intersection of Perryville and East State.
Right. You're looking for pet food, wet or dry, pet beds, pet pads, bleach, hand sanitizer, blankets, paper towels, toys, food and water bowls, cat litter, treats, collars, leashes, brushes, nail trimmers, and more. If it fits with a pet, that's what you're looking for.
I think we forget about some of those things like paper towels. It's a big need for pet owners.
Yes. As we saw the other night. Yeah, that sort of thing happens. Dave's also got a mop just in case it's too much for the paper towels.
Right.
You can get your photo done with Hammy from the Ice Hogs, Homer from Home Depot. Adoptable dogs will be available at the event as well. And all this helps not only the cats and the dogs, but the veterans and Circle of Change program all together.
Yep. Like I said, they have a huge merchandise raffle with wonderful items, and the total proceeds from that go to the Circle of Change. And of course, all these groups, and including the Circle of Change, will have an information table there as well.
For people who want to make a contribution and can't necessarily make that event, can they contribute through your website?
Absolutely. They can go to www.circle-of-change.org. And on the bottom of the homepage, there's a donate button.
And there's a whole bunch of other information, frequently asked questions. You learn some of the things that Steve's been telling us about today. What makes Circle of Change different than other dog and veteran organizations? How do you get a referral? All the questions that might be top of mind with you are answered right there on the page. And this is every Monday night?
The classes, currently we hold classes on Monday evening at Dave's Dog Den, the Canine Junction on Friday afternoons, and then our Madison classes on Thursday evening.
That's all there is to it.
You mentioned, this hasn't gone, nationwide yet, but the interest is obviously there. You say you get calls. What's holding this up? This seems just win. Like everybody's winning.
Yeah.
There's nobody taking a loss on this.
The answer is a short one, and it's a common one. And having worked in nonprofits for many years, the answer is always money.
Money, okay.
And that's definitely the key, because it's important that everyone understand that we don't take government money or government grants. And one reason I'm glad we don't, because they handcuff you so much.
Yeah, my money, my rules.
Yeah, exactly. On what you do, how you do it, and then the paperwork that goes along with it. You'll just get buried. So our money comes from donations from private individuals, corporate support, fundraisers, and I write foundation grants. Our other big fundraiser of the year that we had in August this year is our annual golf outing. And we are proud to have Supply Corps step up and be our corporate event sponsor for that this year. And they intend to continue doing that going forward. So
I know that golf outing is a good time. That golf outing. I've talked to several people who've attended that. That's a lot of fun.
Who wouldn't want to be attached to this?
I don't know. See, that's the thing. When I was talking to Dave at Dave's Doggy Den, he says, "Hey, we do this thing on Mondays. You want to come down and see it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll come down and see it." And then I met Steve, and the next thing I know, I'm calling him, going, "You got to come in. You got to come on the show and tell us about this."
Oh, that's awesome.
And what haven't I asked you that the people should know about?
Can't think of much else other than the fact that the need just continues to grow, because our current situation is a unique one in our nation's history in that we've been involved in several different conflicts over the last, 20 years or more, and it's been with an all-volunteer Army. And that presents some very unique challenges for the enlisted people because, for example, Vietnam, as awful as that was, if you made it through your year over there, you came back and you were done, unless, of course, you re-upped. Now you come back if you're part of the Guard or the Reserves, and you're subjected to multiple deployments. So the rate of PTSD is much higher now than it has been in the past, even during World War II. And
plus, it's America's longest conflict anyway, so that's bound to take place with it. All right, once again, for people who want to learn more, circle-of-change.org. Go right there. Everything that you're looking for, all the information you're looking for is there. The event is December 7th, the Home Depot, from 10 until 4. 6th annual Fill the Truck for kittens and pups and help Circle of Change all at the same time. Will you come back in and keep us updated on how things are going with the program?
Absolutely, I'd love to. Thank you very much.
I got to tell you, it was a delight being there with you guys on Monday night. I enjoyed every moment of it, enjoyed the people there. And for people who were thinking, should I get involved in this? The answer is yes, you should. And make the call and get to the website and see it. Steve, thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you.